No, he said that was impossible.
I know, but then
Can't
he
do
did
that.
it. No,
That's
can't do it
true.
that way. Hello.
It's true. He did it on his
How's
show.
everybody doing?
Hi.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. How you doing,
It is.
Jason?
I'm doing quite well.
Well,
Wow.
welcome to the
Is that a
crow's nest.
surprise? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I gotta be turning on my volume here. I'm totally
Yeah. How about if
unprepared.
you do that? This is
Yeah.
great. We're nearly professional here. Nearly professional.
All right, so it is 4 o'clock Central Time. Time for the crow's nest. I got my co-host Jason Wiebe with me, the guy that actually carries the whole show and does the banner art for us every week. Jason, what are we doing today?
What are we doing today? We're having a question and answer session where people will ask questions and we'll answer them, but maybe not those questions. I mean, we have lots of answers. So our challenge, of course, is to match our answers to somebody's question, I think, as I see it.
Whether it was a question that we didn't even address.
That's true.
We could be answering some question that we didn't even acknowledge that we were answering.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Good.
That's right. Well, I don't know if you... Go ahead.
I'm going to be painting today, too.
Oh, you're frozen. Oh, there you go. And what is that? It looks like a magnificent stump.
It's a base. I got paint on my fingers. It's a base for a non-Reaper figure that I've been working on. Talk about shelf of shame for years. I mean, probably 4 or 5 years this guy has sat in one form or another. So I've had to repaint him quite a bit. But yeah, I decided on yesterday, since it was MLK Day, I had the day off from work. I went crazy and started making a base. So that's what I'm going to be painting on today, is a base. So that'll free me up to answer a lot of questions too. And I plinth black. It's still
there. You go. I noticed when you were doing that in the pre-show, I was wondering what you were doing, but you're the pro, so I didn't ask. See, that's a question I should have asked. Why the hell are you painting that black when you're going to be holding on to it here in a minute? But I didn't ask.
I thought it was going to dry, and I used a different paint that doesn't dry all that fast, and so that was my mistake.
Boy, that's just terrible. You'd think you'd be prepared for a show of this magnitude.
Yeah, I know.
Well, hello all the guests. You saw what? Well, we have lots of guests in chat. Yes, Jen Greenwald. We have Rhonda. We have Greg. Trash. We have a lot of people in there. Holy, look at that.
Know.
Bobby
there is somebody
Jackson,
that's joining
Lord
us.
Dave.
I know. I'm a little disappointed that Bobby's here, but I'll get over it.
Chewy Boots. I'm not. I specifically invited Bobby.
Oh, okay. I'll take it back then.
He has trouble remembering when it's Tuesday. He said.
He does. So,
well, when you sculpt 85 figures a day, it all just blends together. Yep.
Well, Rings, I have a dryer, but having a dryer blow on a Twitch show probably isn't a good thing to do. So I won't be using the dryer on the show. And typically when I paint these big ass bases like this, Bobby asked my question, how much longer can this go on? By this, what does this mean? Jason, what do you think he means by this? The show or life?
I have no idea. I like the big ass base though. I think you should probably copyright that. Michael Proctor's big ass bases. I mean, that wouldn't step on anybody's toes.
No, I don't think so.
No. So Justin's here with us, which I kind of wanted to go back to the start of the show a little bit, and I was hoping Justin had a graphic from the first pitch. Do you remember that first pitch that they made for us, Michael?
Yeah.
You have that?
It didn't last very long. The meeting for this pitch was about 35 seconds before we completely scrapped it.
Wasn't Ron the main guy behind this?
Yeah, this was 100% Ron's pitch, and we were like, yeah, we can't do that, Ron. But here, we do have a poster left over from it, because that's, kind of what was cooked up. So tell me what you guys think about this.
All right.
Yeah.
Base coat.
This was our base coat
with Michael
show.
and Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It had some potential. What had happened though is it was actually the set decorator the set decorator's kid had made this terrible coil built vase, and the whole show was built around the flowers in this vase. And I'm worried that had you not been allergic to nasturtiums, base coats with Michael and Jason would have been the show. We would be doing that right now in our pastel little shirts, and it would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
I am so glad we decided not to.
No, it really wasn't us. You know, the affirmation thing and advice on how to live your life. I mean, that's not us, right? Who are we to give advice on how to live your life? But anyway, thank you for showing that, Justin. Oh, look, Michael's almost done. All right,
So
let's fire on some questions.
We also, actually, I
All right.
believe Valandar has our first question here. Jason, if you'd like to read it.
Okay. You say something utterly random. How is this different from other shows? Is that the question?
No, that's
No.
not it.
He's got another one.
Valandar,
So for
yes.
Proctor,
Oh.
is there a type of detail on a figure that makes you groan or wince when this sucks that I have to read this. I can't even see it. That makes you groan or wince when you see it on a figure you're about to paint.
Skulls.
So what details or level of details don't you like?
Skulls. Skulls.
Why?
And skulls. And more skulls and bones and skulls. And more skulls. I like maybe one or two at the most, but like just overkill with skulls. Sometimes it's just a little too much. And
so you're in direct conflict with Ron on this. Because
does Ron love skulls?
Oh, coat that thing in skulls and bones, he says all the time.
Skulls they're fun, but I don't know. I painted enough of them. I kind of like if I'm painting a character or a monster or something, doesn't necessarily have to have human skulls all over it hanging from it. That'd probably be the number one thing that I kind of cringe to. Trying to think if there's anything else. I'm looking around to see. Really can't.
Yeah, green users say that leaves their sculpts out too. So you're not making any
not
friends
my
here.
intent.
This was supposed to be good for the whole community, and you've already alienated half of us, if not more.
No, it's skulls for when skulls don't serve a purpose. Bob and Julie, when they sculpt skulls on things, they have a purpose to them. I should have clarified that. It's skulls when skulls don't have a purpose to be skulls on this and skulls on the thing. Is that clear as mud or skulls? Yeah.
Sure.
That's the first question.
That's
I handled
fine.
that bad. Yeah.
No, that's pretty good.
But no, it does not leave Bob and Julie's sculpts out because they incorporate skulls very wisely.
Well, Trashorama wants me to work on a skull golem for Bone 6, so those requests can be made to Ron at Reaper.
Yes.
Send those requests directly to Ron.
There is one. There was the Bane's Warden thing is kind of a skull golem. And I have yet to finish it, and probably one of the reasons why I was ranting on about skulls was I was needing to get back to this and work on it. It's still a long ways off, but there's a
wow. That's
there
looking
is
nice.
And it's a shit ton of skulls on here, so I need to get back to it and clean it up a lot.
And what miniature was that?
Bane's. It was from Bones 5. It's a Bane's Warden. I don't know whether did Andy Pieper do that one or did Chris? I don't know who sculpted that. Somebody in chat probably knows. Or pretty good recovery. Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah. This is what happened when you skip the show prep meeting.
I know. I need to show up a little bit sooner, and then I might know.
Justin's supposed to send us all that stuff. He's supposed to have lists and background information.
Oh, John says that Ben Signs might have sculpted it. Yeah, go ahead.
Ben Signs? Huh.
I don't
That's
think
interesting.
So. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I like Ben's stuff. I like his stuff a lot. His little wear rats
well,
are
he's
really
certainly
cool.
capable of sculpting that. That's
Totally.
absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many skulls are in the unit of measure that you mentioned?
Oh,
It wasn't a hogshead, but it was Coloradan for a hogshead, I think.
Well, I don't know. It just really depends on the piece, and is it just way too many? Because really, when you got to paint skulls, it's not just dry brushing. You really got to put a lot of effort and get the shading right and the weathering of the skull and the bone and everything.
So,
it just
so
takes
you're
time.
saying you use a much more intensive technique to paint a skull ornament than, say, a whole miniature?
No, I didn't say that at all.
Well, I was just trying to dig out your words for you.
All right, so I'm going to paint this base, and since this show's kind of remotely tied to painting in a way, is when I sculpt my base, I try to come up with some kind of composition that'll work well, of course, with the miniature. But when I get to painting it, I will go in, and 99% of the time or 95% of the time, I'll have painted the miniature before I make the base. And then when it comes to painting, I will take most of the colors I've used from the miniature and tie them into the base. And so you'll see there's ruddy brown on the palette, and there's dusky skin on the palette, which I started painting this miniature when those colors were still available. So don't, here I go again, not using expired colors again. Just stay with the show theme, right?
Okay.
And there's
Wicked Elf asks,
stuff.
Wicked Elf asks, what painter or sculptor is getting you inspired as of late?
Me? I'm answering that, or are you answering that?
I think you probably, since you're the painter.
All right. So painter-wise, I think my biggest, if I had to just go snap judge pick one painter that I go to for reference photos and follow on Instagram the most, and that's Sergio Calvo.
Mm-hmm.
I love his stuff. It's just so cool. Also, Angel Hernandez, or no, Diradelis, something like that. Someone else could type it in the comments. He's got some really cool videos for free on YouTube. He's sponsored by Vallejo, and he's done some nice tutorials that I've watched lately. So I've been kind of digging those two guys even more, and just kind of really saying, instead of looking all over the place, I'm really focusing on a couple of artists lately of like, who do I really dig and who do I want to steal from today. And that's kind of where I've been going lately. So those two guys, and it's been Sergio ever since he's come out and taught the class a couple of years ago. I just dig his stuff, dig his style. Super awesome. I want to give a shout out to.
Go ahead.
One shout out to Aaron Lovejoy. He's doing a NMM painting 101, 201, 301 the last couple of Saturdays. I don't know if it's too late to jump into that. If you guys are into it, it's pretty awesome. Haven't been able to watch it on Saturdays, but I've been watching the recap videos. They're great, and he just does such a good job, and he's a good teacher as well. Check out Miniature Monthly, and that's where Aaron is, and he does all kinds of good stuff. So
you're actually implying that you're inspired by Aaron Lovejoy sometimes. Sometimes I hate to admit that. That's a huge admission.
That's
a huge admission.
I know.
And I'll give you props for making that one. We have another question. How would you prepare paper mache for accepting acrylics? I could take a poke at that. I'd probably spray it pretty good with a matte varnish, some kind of matte sealer.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah, really thick.
You want
to get a good coat of that.
Yeah, you don't want the water-based paint to interfere with your paper mache.
And then I would prime it.
Yeah, sure.
With a good solid coat of primer to make sure you can, whatever acrylic paint you put on after that coating is gonna work. But yeah,
the matte varnish would give it a little tooth probably, and then you get the base coat on there. Sure.
Boy, yeah, I'd let that varnish dry for a few days. Definitely, don't you think? since it's going to be
I think so.
paper mache over it.
Yeah, it depends on
nice
how
and
much paper
uniform.
mache. If you're making just a little base out of paper mache, it's one thing because
Yeah.
that'll dry pretty quick. But larger sculpts of paper mache, even hollow ones, it's surprising
Right.
how long they take to dry.
Oh,
Well, that was an interesting
so
question.
from
I
War
don't think
Shadow.
we've gone.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Jason. I'm going to come back to War Shadow in a second, but from Camel Rage 99, and this question's really up your alley. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
I'd say probably 3.5 cords.
Okay, that's good. That's probably all the detail we need.
Yeah.
Bobby, this is the music that's free to play. That's the answer to this question. We are working on
Wicked
show
Elf
music.
wanted to know.
Yeah, go.
He wanted to know who's been inspiring me lately, and boy, that's a tough one. I get really inspired by seeing most of my pieces that are painted on the internet. That always inspires me to go on with the next piece or try to reach the next level. I think if I were to make a list of painters, it would be all day long. Obviously, the painters in our community, I'm hooked into their streams and stuff, and I look at their stuff a lot. But there's sometimes a random painting or sculpt will hit you. One of my favorite things to do, this is a funny thing for sculpting. A lot of times I find that the pictures people pick to make memes from, especially wildlife pictures, are sometimes the best reference pictures for mean animals. I saw a picture used in a meme the other day of a wolverine, and I just grabbed it because that's going to go in my swipe file. That wolverine, I've never seen a nature picture like that before, and I found it on a meme. So as far as sculptors, again, there's so many. In my line of work, we can't afford to just watch a few. We have to really look for more ways to do things and look for more interesting things. There's lots of groups on Facebook dedicated to sculpting, both fine art and miniature sculpting. Mask sculpting is another one, people that sculpt masks. Even things, esoteric things like pumpkin carving that you wouldn't think of can be very inspirational to a sculptor. So that's my non-answer, mostly because I can't remember names very well. All I got here. Oh, I got some more here. All right. What percentage of your sculpts for Reaper are commissioned versus you doing a sculpt and offering it to Reaper? That really depends on where we're at in the Kickstarter cycle. We've talked about starting our 6th Kickstarter at Reaper, and when the starter pistol is shot off for the Kickstarter sculpting to begin, we're pretty much hooked into the production pipeline at that point. And Ron comes up with the art and the ideas, maybe gives art, maybe gives a thumbnail sketch, but we don't really wedge too many things in there except for like fan favorites or requests from people in the community. So since a lot of our stuff is Kickstarter driven now, I don't submit that many sculpts. I think I submit more ideas than I do sculpts as far as my own stuff. But every once in a while, you knock out something and you show it off, and there it is.
Yeah, the Australian relief koalas, was that you out of your head, or was that a Ron commission?
You know, I don't remember. I think we wanted to do something. I think we wanted to do something, and we had Andy's wonderful naturalistic wildlife already in the can, Australian wildlife already in the can. And of course, I wanted to do some anthropomorphs and get those going. Yeah, because no, that I think I did come up with those. I definitely came up with the concept for those. Um, there are a couple more that haven't been revealed yet, as a matter of fact, that I got to get. I got to lean on Ron to show.
Yeah. And there's the hornets and stuff and the bees.
Yep.
Those got shown off at one time, and that was just out of your brain as well.
Sure. I wouldn't discourage anybody from doing a sculpt and showing it to Ron, or showing it off in the community, because a lot of times that's where some of the fresh ideas come from. Not that we'd take your idea for a sculpt away from you, but that's how we meet new sculptors. Very often someone just brings in a sculpt or shows us a sculpt, and it takes off from there. So I certainly wouldn't discourage any of that.
Tiberius asks a question for you. Do you think that 25 to 28 millimeter limits your creativity / scale and detail wise?
No, I don't, because that's kind of my native scale. I mean, that's what I started sculpting miniatures in. I have sculpted larger things. I have done chainsaw sculpting from time to time. I have done some stone carving from time to time. So I don't really feel limited by scale. On a 28 or 32 millimeter human figure, there's probably in some ways more of a challenge to get it right, because most of your layered type things, like your edges of a layered costume or the edges of belts and things, they have to be emphasized. So there may be more problem solving in the smaller scales. And really that's what sculpting is problem solving when it comes down to the commercial end of it.
Gene said you don't really even pay attention to scale, so that's really your
I don't.
Default.
I don't. And Gene's a funny one to talk about that, but anyway, it's nice working in a digital environment now. We can actually adjust those up and down. As a matter of fact, that's a boon to most commissioners.
There's a question on which brush I'm using for painting the base. The crappiest brush that I could find that still had good bristles to paint with. Don't use your good brushes for painting bases like this. It's just a crappy old synthetic brush that's still relatively in good enough condition to paint with.
Someone asked a question, which I prefer sculpting.
Yeah, that's where
characters,
I was going.
Male versus female, monsters, dragons, fantasy, sci-fi. I pretty much enjoy it all. I do have some favorites. I haven't done a lot of sci-fi stuff. I've been doing more recently, largely because of Reaper Virtual Expo coming up in March. We've got a kind of a sci-fi framework for that, so we've been able to do some sculpts for that. So I think for my own personal taste, I do a lot of fantasy role-playing games, and I do like the fantasy genre. Male versus female, I've probably done more males, but I've been doing more females lately. Monsters, I'm always willing to take on a new monster, and I do like dragons, but frankly, we have several people that sculpt dragons very, very well, and one of them's in chat, at least one of them. Julie's in chat, and it would be really hard to. Gene's in chat too, and they both have done some tremendous dragons. So dragons are kind of I always admired people that do dragons. The amount of work it is to do the scale work and to get the scale work just right over the musculature is a very difficult thing.
Yeah, but you're selling yourself a little bit short. I mean, you did do the dragon turtle, which is pretty freaking badass.
Sure. Oh, I definitely like dragons. I didn't mean to say I didn't like them. I just, we have people that are so good at it.
Right.
Let's see. Old Sworn has a couple Anthrobat figures. Proctor not precious with his brushes. Huh.
For the most part, for my good ones, my Winsor Newton brushes, they stay pretty good for quite a while. But I do suggest that you go to the Walmarts or the wherever and get you a couple packages of crap brushes, and so you have them to do this kind of work with. I'll come back with a nicer brush and detail and line in and pick out areas and pop a little bit more. But at this point in this is just kind of getting colors on and kind of doing almost a wet blending as they're going on. And then I'll start washing and doing some inks and stuff in there as well as we move along in the process if I get far enough.
How about a couple quick tips on brush care? How do you preserve those expensive brushes? Or even the inexpensive ones?
Brush cleaner. The Masters brush cleaner. And so as you're painting, have your little water thing and clean your brush pretty regularly. And as you are painting, you'll see this recommendation a lot. And if you watch me paint, I don't always follow this, but try to keep the paint at the end and not into the back. Keep it in the front and don't let it get in the back. It's a good advice in a lot of areas of your life. And as you're doing it, as you clean your brush. Now to care for it afterwards, after every maybe 3 or 4 sessions, I will come with this little Masters brush cleaner. There's big pots. I like these little tiny ones because you could take them with you when we used to be able to go out in the real world and go to shows and whatnot. And then I'll just come and clean it off and just do a simple cleaning. And do not lick your brush afterwards because this stuff is kind of nasty. And give it a good cleaning. And again, rinse it out really good. You even have that's where I'm reaching over to is a cup full of super clean water, and dry it off on the palette and keep the tip, keep pointing your tip as you clean it. It's all about the tip. This is a size 0 Winsor Newton Series 7, not the miniature, just the regular one. And keep this tip as nice as you can. And as you clean it, keep refining it, pushing it, and twirling it back into the tip.
And you're not supposed to submerge. You're not supposed to submerge your brushes past the ferrule. Is that correct?
I've
always heard that. I have no idea.
I don't worry about that. I just clean it off. But with you putting paint, you don't want to go all the way to the. I'm doing it off camera. You just want to keep on your first third is really about the max you want to be putting paint on, especially for your good brushes. Now, your crap brushes, that's why they're crap brushes. It doesn't matter. Go for it, and you'll see how this doesn't have a tip. It's just all over the place, and that's fine for doing base work. But you spend a lot of money on these. And I've done it. Don't use this on this stage because you're just gonna tear it up. And all these little rough surfaces are gonna pull your little hairs out of your brush, and that's what you don't want. You don't want your weasel losing its tail.
So keep your good brushes for important detail, not the hogging the paint onto the miniature.
Right.
Okay, that makes
Definitely.
sense.
Yeah.
Camel Rage asks for any sculptors here today. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh well, Bobby actually made a great statement. Julie's dragons equal why bother. So
yes.
I want to give him a little bit of credit for saying something smart for once.
Well, that's nice of you. You really are a nice guy. I don't care what anybody says. Let's see. For Jason or any sculptors here today, if money were not an issue and you could spend your time creating a series of miniatures in any scale and theme, what would you love to do? And Bobby's already jumped in with caveman, I think. Caveman. I'd like to see some other answers there. Blind hog. No, that's an answer for something else. But maybe Bob and Julie as green users. Any sculptor in the chat, type in what your favorite what your favorite would be if you weren't constrained by money and time limits. What would you sculpt for yourself?
While we're waiting on that, Jason, I want to ask you that question.
No,
So,
Bob says terrain. No, go ahead. While we're waiting.
Bob says
Go
terrain.
ahead. You want to
While
ask
we're waiting, you have to sculpt up a race, a character race, lizardman, whatever, and you need to give a whole 10 miniatures in the line. What race are you picking? It's your choice. What are you picking to sculpt up? A druid, a ranger, a cleric, whatever. It could be any kind of creature. It could be any kind of. It could be wombat.
Now, are you asking about a race or a character class, or a race with different character classes in it?
Yes.
Oh, well, I've done lots of dwarves lately, and I am rather comfortable with that. And I've done now probably 3 different ranges and working on a 4th. But I do like anthropomorphs. I think I like anthropomorphs. I like especially some of the Egyptian style animal-headed people. I'd be interested in that. Let's see.
That's something that was really popular for a while. That hasn't. There's Crocodile Games that's out there, and they've always done a great job. Fitzpatrick has done with the Egyptian stuff, but I'd like to see some.
Oh yes.
Another like Reaper take on Egyptian stuff, or your take on it. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool.
That might be a thing. I don't know for sure, but that might be a thing.
I might know some information of why I said something like that. Yeah.
So Bobby's into blind hogs and cavemen and cavewomen. Bob is into terrain. Wicked Elf says Baroque period figures. We talked about this when Greg was here. He would have that commissioned. I would think that'd be a very interesting series. It would be probably something that would be a stretch for me to sculpt, but I can think of several sculptors in the chat that would do quite a good job on that. Fairy Kingdom, that's a good one. It's let's see, centaurs. Julie would like centaurs. Bryce is with Bobby, so I didn't know that.
What does Bryce want?
He's with Bobby on, I think, cavemen or blind hogs. Trashorama, race of flumps. Yeah.
What's a flump?
It's one of those flying blanket things.
Oh.
I'm sure I'm probably giving it a short shrift here. It's a beloved monitor of many people. So.
Oh yeah, you just crushed everyone's little dreams and hopes.
Oh, blind hog was you being nice or appearing to be nice. Bone 6 Egyptian add-on. That's not been confirmed. Fae and centaurs, cave women. Lowbrow stuff, tiki, rat rods, and kaiju stuff. Now, that's from Gene, and Gene and I intersect on the kaiju and the tiki stuff. That's kind of, we go back and forth with a lot of stuff, a lot of ideas on that. So we might have an announcement about that sometime in the future.
I might have seen at some point, and I can't confirm it or deny it, some really kick-ass tiki-related things that somebody sculpted that we may know really, really well, that Ron is just sitting on. Yes. Yeah,
yes.
We're just fantastic.
There's some cool stuff. I've seen some art also from somebody in the chat. Tiki and kaiju themed art that is fantastic. Yeah. So, no, we're just waiting for that. A flump is a sentient jellyfish. Okay.
Oh.
See, our chat, I told someone this earlier, our chat is a wealth of information. All you have to do is look at the chat. We're just the mouthpieces here. I mean, it's the people in chat that know all this stuff. I would do a series, Foundar says, of unusual player characters like a half-orc swashbuckler, tiefling surf druid, a halfling paladin, a gnome battle rager, a dwarven con man. Okay. All right, witches. All right, and then Camel Rage has another question, has a follow-up question for all the sculptors. Is there a miniature you have made on commission that you have found very challenging and totally out of your wheelhouse that turned out great and are especially happy with? Yes, for me, several. That's why if it's a commission, I try to take as many as I can. Really, there's only a few subjects I have turned down, and most of those have to do more with the fact that I display them in my house, and I would like my kids to be able to show them to their kids. So there are some commissions I don't take, but there is so many different
because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
So it would be okay.
Yeah, and it's
Something
not that
wasn't appropriate.
and there's some great sculptors working in that field. It's just not my thing. I would love to see some good centaurs. No, I think the other sculptors could weigh in and chat about miniatures that they took out of their wheelhouse that they really actually turned out well and that they like to do. I know a few. I could name a few, I guess. But
yeah, go for it,
Bobby. What have you done that you wouldn't have normally done that the results were better than you thought? And there's a lag. Well, I don't know. I'm always surprised when I see.
I would be interested to hear what Gene says, because I like to talk about Gene can sculpt in so many different styles, and I've seen him sculpt so many different subject matters. I would like to see what he has to say on that, because cyberpunk guy, Bobby says.
Yeah, cyberpunk guy. I'm not surprised, but when I see a Bobby Jackson modern warfare sculpt, I'm always impressed by those. And not that that's out of his wheelhouse or personal experience, but he does a great job on those.
The Rainbow Sculptor.
Gene,
go ahead. No, go for it.
I was going to say, I've seen some rat rod sculpts that Gene has done lately. I think that they showed them on Reaper Live at one point, but they turned out really tremendous. And I know Gene worked on those, but I think they were probably worth all that work after looking at them. So Rainbow Sculptor, what did she say?
She hasn't answered
viewership
yet. She wanted to know what the
as I
question was.
disclosed. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good today, viewership wise.
Camel Centaur. One humper two.
Throw us some other questions too. We don't have to just.
Julie says ElfQuest. Well, Julie, you did some ElfQuest miniatures, if I remember right.
No, that's what pushed her. That's what pushed her was doing.
Yeah.
Those.
Oh, that's what pushed her. Yes. Bob says Aliens movie resin figures.
He loves. He's always going there. He's always touting that was his first thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was goofing around sculpting and did these alien things, and then I became world famous and got all these things purchased and all that stuff.
I think my first
how I said it
sculpts from Bob that I remember, I think were leading edge. I think I want to say leading edge, but they were movie based miniatures. I think I even have a green that he doesn't know I have. Let's see.
Oh, we have our first orangutan mention of the show. It's coming in a little late.
I would like to sculpt. I would like to sculpt
orangutans,
and I am probably going to be doing something with some elephant men in the future, some luxodonts. American Bison Warrior. Well, surprisingly enough, I've already done one of those, but I might redo him now that I'm working digitally. There's an orangutan.
Yeah,
one
this
of the
is
things
orangutango, right?
If you like, yes. If you like anthropomorphic sculpts, Reaper has plenty, but also look at Dark Sword miniatures. There's several artists working at Dark Sword doing anthropomorphic stuff, and there's some really interesting things. I know Christine is working on some right now. Bobby says mine were leading edge too, and those cool flat Oh, the plastic boxes. I remember selling those in my store, those cool little cases. You could put 5 or 6 miniatures in there and carry them around in your pocket.
Yeah, Rainbow Sculptor wanted to do a whole set of
Arthurian
figures as kids.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
That would be tremendous. You'd be really good at that.
That's a great idea. There was a neat Kickstarter that just went out from Big Child on Arthurian-based sculpts. It was 54-ish, I think, maybe 70. I backed it. I just got a few of them, but they were fantastic. They're a little late in delivering. They're supposed to deliver maybe sometime come spring. They're just fantastic. So maybe there'll be some late pledges getting in. They tend to list those up pretty quickly, probably by summer. You'll be able to purchase.
But those aren't 28s or 34s. Those are bigger scale stuff, which is more fun maybe to paint. Stuff. But
yeah, you're not gaming.
I'd like
to
see an Arthurian range at our
I would
scale.
too. I really would. I think that'd be great. That would be great.
Next Christmas, reindeer dragon. That'll be interesting.
I think Julie's got that all wrapped up. Get it?
Yeah, I guess. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh. Let's see.
All right.
So okay.
Right, so
now we've talked about sculpting for a while. Let's get some painting questions in the chat. Is there anybody?
Okay.
I wanted to see.
Do you want to talk about? Hey, what are your 5 go-to colors, Michael Proctor, that are in print?
Well, I talk about it all the time.
That people can actually get.
Blue liner's number 1.
That haven't hoarded them for years and years and years.
Blue liner. That's 1. 2 is, and I'm not going to mention black and white. Black and white is obvious. What have I been using a lot lately?
There's a lot of people that wouldn't answer black and white for their favorite colors.
No, you need to always have black and white on your palette, always.
All right.
Copper Verdigris 9304. It's a great highlight color. Boom, boom, boom. Super awesome. So
if you were to put together your favorite set, we'd start with blue liner and go right to Copper Verdigris.
No, I'm looking at my destruction of a table, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not picking colors that Rhonda had already picked out. I'm just grabbing some of my, maybe some of these. Can you see all these?
Yeah.
This is what I've been using.
That's an interesting palette choice.
Yeah.
Rhonda says we all cling to our favorite out of production paints.
Yeah, we do.
That's funny. I kind of like the Reaper program where occasionally they bring them back into production for a short time.
Oh yeah, like this one and this one. There we go. Hold on. We have a special guest joining us. It's Miko time.
Huh.
Hey,
where's
Miko.
the smaller one? You had a smaller one a couple weeks ago. You got a bigger one now?
Smaller one. This is the smaller one. She's huge. Look at his feet. Look at that. Yep. Look at that foot. And look at how big my hand is. And look at this foot. So, super Miko time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Rhonda had requested, along with a few others, to see the Miko. Okay.
Rainbow Sculptor says her favorite Reaper paint is Corporeal Shadow.
That's a good color. It is a good color.
That's an inspired name. I'm always struck by how many Reaper paint names would make good drink names.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just sipping on a Corporeal Shadow? What would that be? Cream de menthe and what else?
Twilight Blue. Twilight Blue is really good color. Really good color. So.
Reaper John says that was his nickname in high school.
What? Twilight Blue?
Corporeal Shadow. Well, no.
Why is that?
I thought it was Corporeal Shadow. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a story for John to tell. That's not my story to tell.
We had this collar that that Oliver's old collar. Oliver was a little Cairn Terrier that we were using for Miko. We had to take her to the vet today, get her last shot, and we had to get the leather punch out because she'd already blown through the other holes. So we had to make one last hole that she can have to get her a new collar probably next week.
Yeah, I was going to say a dog like that, you can probably afford to get a new collar.
Yeah. Meadow Green, the Bobby Jackson mentions. You know, Bobby, I've actually been using that color lately. I can't find it on my palette. There it is. Meadow Green. This should be Bobby Jackson whines a lot until he gets his color green. That should be the name of this, not Meadow Green.
He had a one-man intensive grassroots effort to bring Meadow Green back into the Reaper paint line.
Yes.
It was
Bobby
astounding.
Jackson whines. Yeah.
I know. I've never seen anybody work so hard as that. I mean, you know, someone should have hired him for their campaign. He was great.
I know. All right, Camel Rage 99. What was the first thing that made a big improvement to your painting quality, i.e. first time you learned to use washes, dry brushing, edge highlights, basic things, essentially. All right, number one advice, and I mentioned this on the show and other times, is one of the big level up moments for me was it was at Genghis Khan. It was a little local con that was here in Colorado forever. Jason, you've been out to it. And Jen Haley
so was Rhonda.
This is one of I just first started painting maybe for a year or so, and I went to the con to enter some stuff and didn't do that great. But I got a critique from Jen Haley at the time, and she probably doesn't even remember. But the first thing that she really said to me was lining, dark lining. You guys have heard me just beat up, just talk about it over and over. That is the number one thing. Line to separate your sections, and I'm going to show a non-Reaper figure. Line to really pick out the different folds. That would be the number one, number two, number three, number five, number 10 tip that I would give. Is line in between the different folds, give it some contrast, make it pop a little bit more. That's the big thing. The other thing I would say, and I've noticed this on some up and coming painters, is you can spend as much time on the figure and really work it really well. Spend that extra bit of time to make sure the eyes look really, really good. That's the first thing that people are going to look at. And if you've painted everything else great and your eyes kind of look like meh, one's going here and one's going here, people will go meh, whatever. And it's the same way with sculpt. If the eyes aren't looking right, then the rest of the sculpt really doesn't matter in a lot of ways. And I think that's even more so with the painting too. So I hope that helps a little bit. And the other thing too is one last thing, get feedback from folks. Show your work to other people, and maybe people that are more experienced or whatever that you respect, and say, what's one or two things that I can do to improve? And then focus on those one or two things. Don't just go, I need to do these 50 things now to get better. Focus on the 2 or 3, and then once those get better, then jump in and add some more at that point. So.
Yeah, well, I remember it must have been a game that we were all sitting around playing at a ReaperCon or after a ReaperCon. And you took several of our figures and redid the eyes, and it made quite a bit of difference.
Yes, because I got tired of looking at him going all wonky.
Well, it was okay because that was a figure someone else had painted for me, and then you grabbed it and fixed it. So, I didn't take any personal offense at it, but.
All right, how do you get the eyes to point in the same direction? So getting eyes to point directly straight ahead equally is super difficult. I will tend to have my guys looking to the right or looking to the left. And that's easier. That way you can put them in the corners, because most of the eye shapes that are sculpted are kind of almond shaped. So I tend to put the iris, right, the black part of the eye, into a corner, into another corner. I also like to fill up the space. I'll draw it on this. Say, here's the eye, right? So I have a little corner like that. And instead of, I've seen people do this. That doesn't work. This is a little more believable. And to fill it in, because most people are like this. It's only when you're super surprised and shocked and whatever, and that's, you can have the whole iris showing. Am I using the right term? I always get confused in the eye.
Yeah, I think that's the right term.
Okay. But yeah, that's my thing with the eyes.
Oh, Rhonda's backing you up on that, it looks like.
Yeah, what did Rhonda say? Yeah.
Eyes to the side
here's the
often tell more of a story, so it's easier and interesting.
And here's the thing too, everybody, and Rhonda and Greg and other painters on will probably echo this as well. When you paint, you got to paint two eyes generally, right? Unless you got a Cyclops. Everybody's usually better on one side.
A lot of sculptors do that. Or an eye patch. Can't get our eyes right. Yeah, just put an eye patch over the bad one.
I've had Gene put some eye patches on things over the years because I couldn't get the eyes right. There's a pirate that I entered once that he did that for me. You always do a eye better than the either the right eye or the left eye. You always paint that easy. It's easier for you to paint. Paint the one you suck at more first, then match that with the better one. Because usually, if you do the other way around, iris and pupil, thanks, Cranky Dog. If you paint your good eye first, it's always hard to match it with the other eye that you're not as so good at. It might just be subconscious. It's just another eye.
How do you know in advance which eye you're good at? What is that?
You tend to not know. You whatever you look back and what you painted, and you're like, oh, I'm really good. Like I think I'm better at painting the right eye a figure, and then when
that's interesting.
It just works out that way. And then
I believe
it's not.
It just sounded like crap for a while.
And then remember, here's your figure. When you're painting it, flip it over. And then, so if you're really good at going this way and painting this way, well, flip them over. And now you've got that same movement over here.
Yeah.
So you're mimicking it again.
That's a good technique for drawing and sculpting also, is to turn your work upside down to look at things.
Rhonda says it's typically the eye on the same side as your dominant hand. So I wonder if Bryce is left-handed. I know, she writes a lot of words too, so she does that kind of thing. Go ahead. What did
Christine wanted to hear you explain why you have such strong feelings about painted trim design versus sculpted. Oh, you're getting nailed to the wall here. You got a room full of sculptors.
I know. All right. So here's my thought on that. I like sculpted trim design when the casting can live up to your guys' sculpting. How about that? The casting and the production quality, like what's for sale to the general public, when that lives up to the quality. Too many, I've bought miniatures going, yeah, that looks really cool. It's really sculpted. I like that a lot. But when you get the final copy, it's like, whoa, all that great sculpting that you've done is gone, because maybe it's in its third or fourth run off the mold, or, maybe the molds, they need to be remastered. And so that's really my big thing. Plus, if it's flat, that just lets me do whatever I want to do. And maybe I'm feeling in that figure, whatever the sculptor may have sculpted in as their freehand design, maybe that's not what I'm feeling for that figure. Does that make sense? So then if it's flat,
you'd rather
then I can
not
do
have
whatever I want to do.
You'd rather not have to grind it off. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, here's the thing. To be honest with you, when we're doing a commercial sculpt, something for sale, it's a fine line to walk between putting detail on for people to paint and leaving surfaces open for people to do freehand, because we're really selling to a wide variety of painters. And if you're just starting and maybe you're a little, you haven't developed the skill to do freehand yet, it's nice to have that trim on there. Whereas for some of you guys, I mean, there's absolute masterpieces being painted on the back of cloaks and stuff. So it is a fine line to walk. I know with sculpting, it's also interesting. I've mentioned this before because in most times embroidered fabric wouldn't show up at that scale, right? It's like eyelids wouldn't really show up at that scale, so you run the risk of making it clunky. But
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few pieces lately where I think that line is achieving a nice balance.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. It's the final result and the production quality, I think, is the key for me, is why I kind of will go. I like it not to be sculpted in. But I know there was a conversation that Christine and I had at one point, but that's what she's referring to. So thanks for trying
and
to.
And did it end well, or have you guys just been angry at each other?
There were fists. Yeah, they were balled up fists.
I thought so, because you showed up that one day with a black eye.
She popped me square in the eye. Boom. Just knocked me out. Boom. One shot. Yeah. One shot. To Michael and other painters, what would you paint on the 19mm/14 millimeter that comes with artist Sophie? Oh, the canvas?
Yeah.
What would I paint on the little tiny canvas that comes with artist Sophie? It's a good question. I think my go-to, I would paint a mountain scene. It's mountains and sun.
So you'd Bob Ross
clouds and a bird. I would Bob Ross it with some happy trees and stuff. Yeah. I think that'd be fun because that's more of a Bob Ross moment. But that sculpt to me always spoke that way to me. Yeah.
That'd be a fun display of different people painting just that blank painting on an easel. That'd be a fun little competition sometime to see.
Yeah.
What time does the bus get here? Well, it's been here several times. Sometimes we haven't been very obvious about it. Michael's been throwing bombs, if you know what he's talking about. But
yeah, this has been a fun show today. I really enjoyed this one. We kind of pulled this
artist
out
Sophie self-portrait.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
Tiny Norman Rockwell. Potato Reaper John. Man. Lots of stuff. So that's really an argument for keeping your sculpture as open as you can to let the freehanders just go to it. Yeah. I think Potato Reaper John has to be on a lot of stuff.
I would suggest, if you're a newer painter and you feel intimidated by freehand, go for it. Just start freehanding. Just start doing it. Whatever it looks like, just start making some squiggles, making some swirls, adding that in. You can only get better from where you are. So don't be intimidated by it and go for it and do it. A trick, and I've mentioned this before, blending, superfine blending to me gets very boring. And sometimes when I don't necessarily, I have to do something quickly and I need to turn it around quickly, I tend to put in freehand, because for me, freehand design swirlies and curves and stuff like that and is quicker than me trying to do a super smooth blend. So think about that. Eat up. I learned the trick too from Marika. I took a class from her and she was talking about freehand, and she will take areas that are hard to blend and she will throw in freehand in those areas because it's just quicker and it makes sense too. So yeah, that's my little Starry Night, Van Gogh Starry Night would be kind of fun on that as well. There's a lot of good ideas. I think we should Reaper should just produce the artist, the easel, and then people can do John can do a competition on that. Did you say that already?
Well, we talked about it. Yeah. I think it'd be an interesting thing. I've seen some wonderful tiny paintings. I think I remember Bourbon Street Sophie maybe, and Amy Brem did like a street graffiti. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm. You know who did excellent Bourbon? I do. Yeah. And Rhonda says freehand is also useful for distracting from issues with the cast. You might not have caught in prep. totally. Hide. Black's always good to hide in those dark corners as well. And because not every cast is going to be perfect. You're going to need to be doing some prep, and better preppers than me have missed mold lines. I miss them all the time. So you just got to figure out a ways around them, and you don't want to have to strip the menu just over one little tiny mold line. You can fix it with various tricks. Easy for me to say. So, we still got. I have time. We're over the hour, but I wanted to see. Let's start a new line of questions. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to throw out there? Oh, hey, Jason. What's
Yes.
Friday? What's coming up this Friday?
This Friday, I believe, is Reaper Errant, which is where the wonderful DM Game Master Frank takes us through his wonderfully conceived dungeon, and you guys should all watch the sets. I mean, just the sets and the atmospheric effects, the music. There's snow, there's rain. Not even to mention Frank's wonderful imagination. It's a very fun game, and we have a lot of good times doing it. So I'd tune in.
I think we're in trouble.
Why?
I think we're in big trouble.
On our game?
On our game, yeah.
No,
I think we're in big trouble. I think we're about to
we're not.
We've gotten a little cocky with the group, and we started going after those little flesh bag thingies, and they're about to wipe us out.
Yeah, but we got a orbital missile platform now, so we're set.
Yeah. Well, Bobby just said one of the characters died this week, and it could potentially be him if he wasn't constantly hiding behind a goat or a wall or a fence or something. So it'll probably be Gene. Gene tends to get killed every episode, or come close to it at least. So I sculpted a little area in the back too. Did you see that? It's kind of hard to see.
Very nice.
And then I have this little guy. It's going in the back. See that?
Oh, that's going to be cute then. Yeah, I like the little
little
secrets, Easter
Yeah.
eggs. So do you find yourself taking a piece of natural material, because you use a lot of natural material in your bases? Do you find yourself taking those and then adding putty and sculpting a continuation of that natural material?
Yeah, totally. Let's see if I can pull up a picture really quick. That'll work. So what I did with this was there's basically this little piece of wood back here, and it came down, and then I have this little face from, I think it's a Screevor or whatever kind of piece, and I just started taking milliput and sculpting and making rocks and terrain and whatnot and building it up and trying to build the scene, and then hopefully it'll all come together like this. So the key in the unifying thing is, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what is there tricks to imitating that texture, or is it just something you have to sit down and study and do?
A little of both. I mean, I think you and Gene, but mostly Bob Rodolfi has taught me over the time that I've spent with you how to sculpt in terrain and rocks, and I look at rocks, and I live here in Colorado, so I'm outside a lot and observe what's going on there. I'm looking for my little sculpting tools. I use. That's not one of them that I use.
No, that one's not going to be any good for a while.
Yeah, I use this little sculpting piece. You could tell it is just caked on with milliput, and I'll file off when the ends get too much of milliput. That's my main tool, and then I use an X-Acto blade too, just to cut in and refine. And then
why do you put the milliput harden on that tool? You don't let your paint harden on the brushes, do you?
I'm not. Yeah, I got to clean this one too. It's got milliput.
Well, someone was wondering about the bus, so I just figured I'd fire it up.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. Good job with the bus. Rainbow Sculptor asks, do the Reaper figure bases inspire more elaborate basing, or you just remove them? Typically, I remove. I'll cut out if I want to do something for my own. I'll cut out the base and make my own. Just shave it off. I use a grinder and just grind the metal down and cut off around it.
That's almost a similar question to the detail question we talked about, the trim and detail question. Some people would prefer to have their bases sculpted and elaborate, and some would like it plain. Yeah.
Well, like for gaming figures and whatnot, and like the Lizette that Bobby sculpted, that's a January figure for Bones Black. Can you, my camera is super slow right now. I'm gonna turn this off.
Yeah, there's a little lag.
Yeah, there's super lag. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I like that just for that. You don't have to worry about making a base, because sometimes I get stuck. I've finished a piece and the base, will delay me finishing the piece because I can't figure out what I want to do. Huh. Oh, look at me go real fast.
Wow. Yeah, that was something else. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Anyways, so. What else? I turned my iPad off.
Yeah,
is that the VMix that did that?
Yeah, I think so. You having issues?
No.
I don't know.
Nothing. No.
Well, we had some.
I can't see it.
Lag, but it was weird lag on Michael's part because there was nothing.
Yeah, it went really slow, and then
it
went super zoom fast. Zoomy zooms.
I know, ape crap. I think you can say ape crap, right? Not ape. Yeah. Okay.
Ape crap.
All
that's
right.
Fun to say.
Well, this has been a really fun show.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Justin?
I did too.
I always enjoy every time you guys talk about your craft. Always.
Were you paying attention? What percentage of the show were you paying attention?
I was.
Justin?
You know how I know the show was so great? I was only asleep for 73% of it.
Oh, see, that's good.
That's improvement.
That's great.
20.
That is improvement.
27% you're awake. Good job, Justin.
It'd be nice to hit that 60% mark with Justin's sleep cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That's good. All right.
That's great. That's great.
Hey,
you guys ready to
we
sign
already
off?
plugged it a little bit. Yeah, let's get ready to find a rating thingy, and Reaper Errant Friday night. Please come check us out. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then so next week
we
are hoping.
See, we're having the tabs versus integral base argument break out in chat, and we couldn't even get to that. So we should do a whole show on tabs versus integral base.
I agree. That sounds great.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah,
It is exciting.
You want to do it right now?
It takes up a significant part of every sculptor's week.
Yeah. What do you prefer, sculpting, or do you care?
It depends on the use. I like, for bigger figures, I do like doing elaborate bases. For smaller figures, tabs are just fine. I don't know. There's some things I don't. But I'm not overly fond of having exact millimeter sizes as bases, but I realize that's an important part of gaming.
Yeah. From a painter standpoint, I like the tabs just because that allows me to go traditional basing if I want to, or go something more elaborate, and I don't have to get out the grinder and grind down the little metal part and shave it away, which isn't just a Reaper thing. It's a number of other companies. If there's going to be an integral base, I'd like it to be as small as in diameter as possible around the figure, because it's not as important to me. That way I can base around it then without having to shave it off.
Gene's disavowing the broccoli base, and I happen to know that's his favorite type of base.
Is it?
Yeah,
I like the asparagus.
I think he's
base
pulling the wool over someone's eyes there.
Yeah, I like the asparagus and the spinach base better than the broccoli.
Got your.
Who came up with the broccoli base?
Oh, I think it's lost in antiquity.
Okay. All right. All right.
It's
we're gonna
probably
wrap it up
Ed.
now. Yeah.
It's probably Ed.
Well, maybe the broccoli base can be retired, like many other colors, pink colors I like.
Oh, Bobby confirms Ed Pugh. So 2 of us say Ed did.
All right. Well, then that's.
Got your theme song.
Ed for
playing
sure
here, Michael.
now. Ed for sure, yes.
This is
All right.
Michael's favorite. So.
Of
All right.
the crappy music selection, it's my favorite
Well,
of the
thanks,
crappy
everybody.
selection that we can do.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for showing up. We really appreciate it. We appreciate when we do the call outs to chat and you guys are there to answer for us. This was a kind of an interesting experiment. We decided to go without a guest this week and just talk about miniatures because that's what it's all about.
Not because we didn't have a guest. We didn't do this
Not
because we didn't have a guest.
No.
Yes.
No. We actually
not that in the least.
well, we actually had 2 and then remember what happened. So
Well, yeah, I thought it was too soon.
yeah.
All right.
It's still a little raw.
Take a minute.
Thanks for
Take a
watching,
minute,
folks.
really.
Just ignore this. We'll talk about this backstage, folks. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, Ron, you missed it. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Don't forget we have shows the rest of the week.
Ron.
We have all of our normal shows the rest of the week, and
Do we?
expect to see all. Yeah, we do. We expect to see
How
What's the
everyone here
best
at
show?
those
What's
shows.
the best show
How
on
normal.
Reaper Twitch?
Reaper Aaron?
Yeah, thank you.
There it is.
Thank you. What's
All
the
right.
second best show on Reaper Twitch?
Oh, Painting Platinum.
No.
Oh, okay.
This show.
This one then. Is
It's
that better?
the Weeby's Nest.
Perfect.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Later. Thanks for joining late, Ron, if you really indeed did so. Thanks for being there for us. Appreciate the support.
He's
Thank you
shipping
guys
us some
very much.
Whataburgers. Thank you,
Awesome.
Justin. You always do such a great job, even though I know that you're asleep 73% of the time now. So that is damn impressive.
Right.
Thank you guys very
Cheers.
much. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks,
see you.
everyone.